Yo, what's up everybody? Today we will be going over the basics of Photoshop. So let's start. So first off, obviously you want to create new, and it depends what size you want. So if you're gonna do a header, I suggest 3000 by 1000. A profile pic is 400 by 400 or 500 by 500. Or like a wallpaper is 1920 by 1080. So for this case, I'm going to do 1920 by 1080. And you should have this. I'm going to be doing like a welcome board. Shout out Mook. So pretty much what we're going to start out with is we're going to use the brush tool, or you can right click on this layer, press blending options, and you're gonna make sure you're showing all effects and get a color overlay. So you want to change the color to whatever you want. So if I just do like a little turquoise-ish color, then I'll press OK. And first off, we're gonna start off with some text. So press T on your keyboard. If that doesn't work, you need to on these are your tools. So over here is where you can select what you're trying to do. So this little T button, that is text. So we're going to change the text to like, I'm going to change the color. So right here where it says black, where it shows a black image, just choose your color. And I'm going to say, welcome to Team Novel. So press this check mark, and then here's a basic command. You will need to know this. It is Control T at the same time. Now this allows you to move stuff freely and size down things. So you just want to drag on this left or here, but depending on your version, so if I hold shift and move one of these, it'll stretch it. So you don't want to hold shift, or you do, it depends, but you want to make sure it is relatively even, but I am going to stretch it so it looks a bit wider. Now I am going to size, I change the spacing down. So if you go here in your properties for text, you can see that it says auto. So I'm just going to make this just smaller, so just mess around until there's something you like. So 30 looks good to me. Perfect. Now I'm gonna change this line to black to add a bit of contrast. And so now we're gonna do something pretty easy. I'm gonna move this down a bit. We're going to use the pen tool. So press P on your keyboard, and it should bring up this. Make sure that is on shape. Or path, I meant, not shape. Because shape will do this. You don't want that. You want it to be on path. So now if I just go here and I hold down, so what you're going to do, place like a point here, just left click, and then maybe here, and then hold it and move your mouse around until it's like a little, the line to the left where it's like stretching, that's the actual line. If I go here and then like here and then maybe here and back out, and then you want to connect it again, right click, make selection, and then press B on your keyboard or whatever you want. You can right click, press blending option. It really doesn't matter, but I like using brush tool, and I'm just gonna fill this in with the black. Maybe move it over, maybe to this corner. So just mess around, find something you like. It really doesn't matter. This is up to you. So if I press Control J on my keyboard, it'll duplicate this layer. If that doesn't work, right click on it, press duplicate. And I'm going to press Control T, right click it, press flip horizontal, flip vertical, and I'm going to move it to over here. And if you hold not on here, but like next to it, I don't know if you see, watch my cursor. So if I hover over this line, it'll make me resize it. But if I go up above it, it'll show this like 90-degree angle that's curved. And it'll let me rotate it. So I'm just gonna do that. So it's something like kind of like, so like that. It's fine. Okay, that was pretty simple, really simple. This is not a super in-depth to make something like this made by the guy Frags. This is a bit more in-depth, and I can make a tutorial on how to do something like this. Shout out Jack Dyer Trap. So yeah, that's a really nice one. So if I make a new layer, so press the plus. This is to make a new layer, by the way. Okay. And I go to like my lasso tool. So L. This is probably my favorite tool. You want to click a dot and then it should bring out a line. To make it straight, you want to hold shift and it'll be a completely straight line. But I don't want to do that, so I'm just going to make this a bit more sharp. You just have to mess around, find something you like, and I'm going to make this white. So over here in these colors, it should be black and white. So you can press this little arrow button, and it'll switch the color. And if you don't like that, we'll go back to pen tool and make it a bit more fluid. So something like this. Just mess around, find something you really like. Doesn't have to be perfect. We're not striving for perfect. Just something sort of abstract. So like that. I'm gonna Control J and Control T, flip horizontal, flip vertical, and move it to the opposite corner. Like so. Now, the next part is not very difficult. I'm gonna make this a bit smaller though. Make sure it's centered. So you see this line, how it's like tugging? That is the middle. So if I press Control R, it'll bring up these rulers. So if I drag this out, it'll stop at the middle. So here's the middle, 960 for 1920 by 1080. And then do it again from the top. There's the center. Now I'm going to make a new layer. Go to my ellipse tool. So right here under the move tool is the ellipse tool. Right click it. Make sure it is on elliptical and not rectangular. I'm gonna hold shift and drag and make a circle. Let go. Now I have a circle. So you're gonna press B on your keyboard. I'm gonna make this black and fill it in. Really simple. And I'm gonna move this somewhere around here. That's probably fine. And I'm gonna press Control J. Now it should line up. You wanna make sure it is lined up with the other circle. So that looks pretty correct, so maybe I'll just move it over with my arrow key slightly. This is a lot easier if you just put it at the center, but it really doesn't matter. Now, I'm gonna add a secondary text. So, if I press T on my keyboard again, bring up this text, I'm going to say, owners. Okay, I'm gonna make this smaller than the rest of the text. Just put it here. Now, to change your font, you're gonna hover over here, and you're gonna go on this arrow, and just choose a font. So, I have lots of fonts. You can download them from sites like DaFont. There's a lot of sites. So I'm just gonna go back and whatever it was. So, yeah, I like this font. So now, in these black circles, so I'm just gonna make a new group. So if I press this folder, it'll make a new group. Now I'm gonna click on the circle, hold shift, click on this circle, and drag it into where it says group. I'm gonna rename this circles. And I'm gonna do this for these shapes on the outside, these pen tool shapes that we made. And I'm just gonna hold shift, select all of them, press on this group, and change the name to shapes. And then text, Control Z, by the way, that's a helpful thing. I'm gonna do this, make another group, and call it text. Perfect. So now with these circles, I'm gonna move this one slightly over again. I'm just eyeballing it. You should be more precise. You should take more time than I am, using the rulers and stuff. So I'm gonna press duplicate, so Control J. I'm gonna change the color, so Control U, and it'll bring up this. If I make the lightness white, it'll make it white. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make this scaled up. So there. And now you wanna center it back over. Move this here, and I'm gonna keep making it bigger until it's somewhere that I like. So it should line up like that. So now you have that little outline. And an easy way to do this is I'm just gonna delete this layer. Hold shift to select both of them, Control J. Just move it. So now I don't have to duplicate the process. And I'm gonna move this over. Okay, it's lined up pretty well. Now if I go to my files, so here's my files. If I go to this, it's really depends on you. Logos, profile pics. If you just bring in a profile pic, so we'll just bring in Accra, shout out Accra. And I'm gonna size this down. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna move this over the top, and I'm gonna right click and press create clipping mask. And as you can see, it'll fit right into the black circle. Make sure it's clipping masked over the black circle instead of the white outline, because then it'll look stupid. So I'm gonna press Control Z so it goes back. Perfect. I'm gonna rasterize, so right click, rasterize, and I'm gonna do the other circle. So we're just gonna do Team United, which ended, but we're gonna just do some random profile pic I made as well. Make it smaller, line it up, and we're gonna make sure to rasterize it. It'll make it like higher quality and stuff, and you can edit it. So go down to the black circle, right click, create clipping mask, and I'm gonna move it so it's more centered. Alright, that's good. So if I hide this circles, I'm gonna create a new layer, and I'm gonna pull out the rectangular marquee tool. So what you're gonna do with this is just like that's to make the circle, you're gonna hold shift. Well, you don't have to, depending on if you want it like a perfect square. So I'm not gonna hold shift actually. And you're gonna make a white box. So like a box like that. I'm gonna change the color, and I'm gonna make sure it's measured up with this. So you see how there's that pink line going vertical? It means it's lined up. And I'm gonna move it down a bit with my arrow keys. Now I'm gonna press Control J and duplicate it. Now we're gonna do the same over here, make sure it's lined up. Perfect. And now you're gonna press your text button, so T. We're gonna make sure the text is on black. And we're gonna change the text to, I think it's Accra FN. I'm not sure. I'll link them in the bio though. I'm just gonna make this smaller so it fits well. So bam, it looks too high. So I'm just gonna hit my arrow keys after pressing Control T, move it down. Just make sure it looks good and not uneven or anything. Okay, that looks pretty good. So if I Control J this, move this over to the other side, and I'm gonna move it down a bit so it's even with the other text. It's actually, here's what we can do. We can use this ruler again, and we can line it up, so right here. Now we can see that I probably need to move this up or down about another, yep. Now if I press the move tool, I can move up this ruler again, so it's hidden. Now I'm gonna change this text to something like United GG, and it's pretty even. I mean, maybe we'll move it up one more, maybe two more. You just have to mess around. And what I'm gonna do, since I'm not gonna change this text again, I'm gonna right click it, press Rasterize. Now it'll make the box easier to see. Now it's easier to measure. And I'm gonna do that for both so they're equal. And how you see that it's lined up in that point, that's telling you, with those lines, it's telling you it's equal with the United GG text. Now that was pretty easy. So I'm gonna make a group and we'll call it names, because the names of the players or owners, whatever. We're going to go to your files. So I have the novel logo downloaded. So right here. And here we go. It's very big. If I press the check mark, right click it, rasterize, and move it under everything. Now you can see it's like this. And I'm gonna lower the opacity down. So now you can slightly see it, but it's not very noticeable. So like 11%. That looks pretty good to me. Now, here's where packs can help. So if I open my document, I have lots of packs, as you can see. If I click infinite pack, I will link some downloads to some of these packs, but a lot of these are not free. So, I didn't make these packs, so I don't want to get into trouble leaking them. So if I just go to like dust and scratches, this looks like a good grunge. Drag it over. Now you can see this. I'm gonna make it fit. What I'm gonna do is lower the opacity greatly. So there we go. It's not super noticeable at all. And you just want to mess around. So it just depends on what you're doing. Shapes. You can just mess around, check, look for stuff. It really doesn't matter. So I like this. So I'm going to drag this in. And this is like a little outline. So if I drag this here, so it fits. Now there's this little frame going on. So if I duplicate it, Control J, and I'm gonna right click, flip horizontal, not flip horizontal, flip vertical, if it'll let me. Oh, I'm sped. I'm stupid. Sorry. We're going to rotate. There we go. I'm so dumb. And bam. Now it's on this side. And if we just hold shift select both these layers, Control J. If I press flip vertical, or not flip vertical, rotate 180 degrees, it should be, maybe rotate 90. You just want to make sure it's on here, so there we go. So you can see it on both sides. You don't have to do that, it's just a little shortcut I do sometimes. And bam. So what I'm going to do is, where you see that it's white, I'm going to make this black. So, as you can see, this one, I'm going to make this dark. And maybe make the, I'll make the left one black. So I'm going to hide so I know which one it is. And just make it black. That looks pretty cool. Now, what we can do next is we can change the color a bit. So I'm just going to group this. We're just going to group this as grunge. Now, if I press, since this is like a basic tutorial on how to do multiple things, like this isn't just how to make a welcome board. This is just to learn the basics of Photoshop. Do you see this like half circle? I don't know how to describe it. Should bring up this menu. If I go to brightness contrast, you can raise the brightness to whatever you want, make it darker. Doesn't matter, so I'm just gonna do that. Maybe make the contrast a bit lower. Perfect. And I'm just gonna do levels. You just mess with it until it's somewhere you like. So I'm not gonna use levels, but feel free to. There's curves, so you just drag this middle down or up. It'll make it darker or lighter. Yeah. So I'm just gonna delete this. I'm not gonna use it. But there's vibrance. Vibrance will make it obviously more vibrant. As you can see, this is dull, and this is more vibrant. And saturation. Oh, that was bad. As you can see, it becomes more gray, and this makes it more bright and saturated, obviously. Just keep it there. Now, there's all these things, so photo filter, they're little filters, so you can just change the filters. Maybe this underwater looks good, change the density, whatever you want to do. So, yeah, maybe 10%. And there's black and white. It's obviously explanatory. It's a black and white filter. So right click, you delete by pressing backspace, but this isn't letting me delete. There we go. So something that we can also do is, this will make it a bit more grunge-like. There are brush packs. So I'll find a way to import some packs onto here for brushes. So if I make this, if you right click with the brush tool open, it'll bring up this. And I have a pack, it is called LOL. And there's this grunge brush. This is from Say So. It was free. I will try and link that as well. But this has all sorts of brushes. So make sure you're using a new layer. And you just mess around until you find a brush that you want to use. So yeah, there's like corner brushes. This brush is pretty cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press Ctrl Z just to get out of that menu. So right click and you make the size down. You can change it, make it lower, make it higher, make it bigger, whatever you want to do. I just go like that. That looks kind of cool. Maybe this side. Just mess around. And you can change your brush, whatever you want to do. So on your keyboard, I don't even know what it's called. It's like the brackets. So what you can do with that key is if I press the left bracket, it'll make it smaller, right bracket, it'll make it bigger. So yeah, I'll just keep messing around. I like this brush, I use it a lot. So what I'm gonna do is make sure you're creating new layers. I forgot to there. You gotta be careful with that. I'm gonna change the color to white. I'm gonna place it down, Control T, flip horizontal, and move it to where I would like. And then just keep going from there. So this is a pretty fun thing to do. I like doing it on headers. It looks pretty cool. You can do it on whatever you want. So maybe a little, make this smaller. Interesting brush. Like so. And it is all messy. So I'm actually going to lower the opacity down for some of these. It's like this. I might lower the opacity and make it more faded. So make it like 20 for the white, 50, that looks good. Do that for this as well. And it's more faded, it's just like the novel logo. Shout out Novel Sanction. I'll tag them down in the description as well. So the last thing I can do, you can do a lot more. This is really easy. If I hold Shift from the top layer, go all the way down, and press Control J, right click on all of these layers, press Merge. Now if I go to Filter, Camera Raw Filter, this is a really cool thing you can use. So you can turn up the exposure, turn down the exposure. So I just go like this. Contrast you can change. Highlights you can change. Whites you can make brighter. Blacks you can make darker, etc. I'm just going to keep it like that. And you don't want to mess with this texture clarity dehaze. It'll make it look kind of funky. So as you can see, it changed how the logos looked. So now you can see that it looks a bit sharper. So that looks pretty cool. Something I'm going to do is oh, I forgot. You want to do this once you know you're done. Okay, that is something I forgot to say. Make sure you're done with what you're doing before doing camera raw. Something I do want to do. Now, I used to have a style. Let me look for it. Just like the acro header with all of these shapes. This is a pretty cool thing I learned relatively recently. If I don't want my brush tool. Well, I can use my brush tool and just make it a circle. So if I go up, general brushes, hard round, and I want to make it smaller. And as you can see, it's just a circle. I'm also going to move these rulers out of the way, so just go to move tool and drag to the side. They don't disappear. Filter, distort, and it is wave, I'm pretty sure. Yep. Number of generators you can change, wavelength, and it can create some really cool shapes. So just like that. And you can mess around. So that's something I'm not gonna do here, but it's pretty cool for you to mess around with, do whatever you want to. Something else we can go over is noise. So here, there's lots of things here, so we make the amount. You obviously don't want to do that. So I'm just going to make it, yeah, that looks pretty good. 3.92. There's also other filters, so there's blur. So if I want to go to, if I just make a new brush on the side, filter, blur, if I do like motion blur, it'll make it as you can see, motion blurred. There's stylize, sharpen, all of these cool things. There's another cool thing is called filter gallery. So what I like about this thing is if I make a new text and I just say E1, if I move it over, I'm gonna delete this. This is just to get over another cool thing. Filter gallery. Convert this, just rasterize this layer and it'll show up. So in here there is a thing called stylize. So this is pretty cool. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I haven't figured this out yet, honestly, but it's really cool. And there's also an effect called chrome. So I'll show you what that does. So here's a header for alpha. As you can see where it says alpha, you see that chrome effect? It's really cool. And all of these, like this grain, this weird edges, this bubbly effect, it is all made from using that filter gallery and just messing around. Another thing that is really cool are things called layer styles. So, Mook, I'm gonna make this text white. And I'm just gonna move it over. So, what I can do is window styles. I have all of these styles I've made. So I have things like that, things like this. I have a bunch of them. So I'll just go through them. I can make if people want me to, I can make a pack on this, on my layer styles, because I have quite a lot of them. They're really cool. Very helpful for things like APIs, 3D text. I'll probably do a Cinema 4D tutorial on how to make like a 3D header. So yeah, that's pretty much the video. I hope you enjoyed. One last thing is you want to save as and you're gonna change it to whatever you're gonna save. So if I just go to my PSD file in tutorial and save it as a PSD so I can edit it later. So then if I press file, export, save for web, make sure this is on JPEG and not like PNG, make the quality 100, save. Excuse my dogs, they're so loud. I'll just tutorial and just save it to wherever you want. I recommend making a design folder. It will help you in the long run, trust me. So if I press save, it'll save, files, design, and here's what we made. So it's pretty cool, really easy. Thank you so much for watching. If you want more tutorials on tips and tricks, how to make a header, 3D header, maybe something like what I made yesterday, or like this, an abstract thing like this. I can do anything you guys would like. Just let me know in the comments. Appreciate you guys and have a good day.